This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
SteelTwins Nation, what is going on? This is episode 105 of the Steelers Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. And today's episode is powered by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. And today we'll be talking about the entire Steelers 2024-2025 season, pretty much previewing what could be a very bumpy ride as we ride with Russell Wilson as the starting quarterback, and how improved the Steelers could be compared to last year, where I still to this day don't know how we got past all of that. 3 new quarterbacks, Matt Canada, and just a plethora of injuries and just a lot going on. So could that be improved this year? Could we see a similar situation? Could this be another repeat of the past number of years where Mike Tomlin leads us to the exact same season all over again, despite having 2 new quarterbacks and a new offensive coordinator? We'll see. We'll talk about it today. But first, we want to give a huge shout out. Huge thank you to BetUS sponsor today's podcast episode. Today is sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
125% sign-up bonus on the first 3 deposits. I would take advantage of that if you guys are looking for a new sportsbook this upcoming season, as the games that matter are literally this upcoming week, this Thursday, as the season kicks off with the Chiefs and the Ravens. And in regards to the Steelers this entire season, man, we have the betting odds for their regular season wins. The over-under for their wins is 8 wins, 8.5 wins. Now, the last time the Steelers got less than 8 wins in a season, pretty much the last time they had a losing season, was 2003, 21 years ago. Could that happen this year? Many people are saying this could be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I see a lot of comments from you guys saying, hey, we might get 6 wins, only 7 wins, maybe 8 wins. Maybe we don't get as much or more than last year, despite arguably having a better team. On paper. And there have been many instances where Tomlin could have had his first losing season, and he has not yet. The betting odds are here, over 8.5 wins. The betting odds are plus 115. Which, I mean, if you're a Steelers fan and you want to bet on that, feel free to do so with BetUS. Link in the description. Take advantage of the 125% sign-up bonus, up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits, and get the fastest payouts in the industry. Fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process. 24/7 personalized service every day. Live wagering on all major games, which, of course, includes the Steelers. And take advantage of that as well if you guys want to get involved in this bet here, if you guys want to trail this, if you guys want to follow. Hey, as a Steelers fan, me personally, we shouldn't expect a losing season until proven otherwise, but that could be this year. But, you know, let's put, let's put like 40 on it. Going 46. You guys want to trail that, you guys want to follow that as well, feel free to hit the link in the description box below. Sign up for BetUS, take advantage of that promo code, and just please gamble responsibly. Thanks to BetUS for sponsoring today's podcast episode. As we get into the season preview, I'll be real with you, man. The team is better than last year in many levels. I think the defense is a little more stacked. I think the linebacking crew is a little better. I think the pass rush is a little better. The secondary arguably has holes, but, you know, I think the secondary is better now that we have a cornerback too in Dante Jackson. The O-line is arguably a little better as long as they all mold and they all progress the way we hope and the way they should. The quarterback situation is better. The offensive coordinator position is better. There's a lot of areas in the team where I find myself saying, hey, that's better than last year. But heading into the season, man, I don't know what to expect. And because of that, yeah, that brings me some excitement, but that also brings me more concern. I find myself a little more worried and not as convinced or not as optimistic as maybe I should be. And a big reason for that is the Steelers are still undetermined at the quarterback situation, and they don't have a number 2 receiver. And because of that, they might lack in the passing offense. They might lack in the pass attack and the way they stretch the field, which has been a constant issue with this team for years now, is they haven't been able to stretch the field. And yes, that was scheming, and a lot of that had to do with the quarterback play as well. And we saw last year when a true quarterback was in, they stretched the field.
Yeah, they did.
On numerous occasions. They have all the talent in the world to do it this year. They just have a little bit of a lack of a wide receiver too. But to add upon that, they do have strength in numbers. They don't have a wide receiver too yet, or at least a determined one yet. But they do have 4 tight ends. They have 2 dual threat running backs. They have so many weapons that they can incorporate to make up for the lack of a wide receiver too, that maybe we shouldn't be as concerned as maybe we should. And obviously the Steelers are still going to be a very run-heavy team, a run-first team. So clearly they're still going to rely on that with the boosted offensive line. But the offensive line still brings concerns because we've seen in preseason, they keep Broderick Jones out of position. Troy Futano only played one game, and it wasn't really great.
No.
Zach Frazier is a rookie at center, but I think we all feel good about him. Isaac Seumalo is injured for at least the first month. We're going to have 3 rookies arguably starting week 1. If not, regardless, there's going to be 3 new young guys on the starting lineup come week 1. That's either going to be Spencer Anderson or Mason McCormick at left guard. There's going to be Zach Frazier at center and probably Troy Futanu at right tackle. And if it's not Futanu, it's still Broderick Jones who's coming into his second year. It's a lot of young talent. And at some point, Broderick Jones will be the starting left tackle, so add another young body to the offensive line, which is exactly what we need, but it's going to take a while for everything to mold.
Yeah.
Which could lead to, unfortunately, another bumpy start, another slow start for the Steelers. And can we really afford another slow start?
No, looking at the second half of the schedule after the bye week, no, the Steelers cannot afford a slow start whatsoever. They need to have a hot start, I would say, because any game, especially us Steelers fans knowing from experience, just one game is enough to finish the season off, for our season to be in jeopardy. Do I need to remind you the 3 straight losses we suffered in a span of, I want to say, 12 days? The Cardinals game, the Patriots game, and the Colts game. If we didn't lose those 3 straight games, and those were especially the Cardinals and the Patriots, they were terrible teams last year.
2-win teams at that point.
If we didn't lose those games, we wouldn't have to have the bounce back season that we did. We didn't have to win the last 3 games with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, and we didn't have to rely on Tennessee to beat the Jags for us to get into the postseason.
Right.
But I feel like that's the case every year when it comes to not just early into the season, but just somewhere around the season. It could be early, it could be middle, it could be late. It could be just whatever team that the Steelers have the ability to win, but they don't. And just that one bit, it could ruin the momentum of the span of the season for some time, or just that one game could put their season in jeopardy where the Steelers are going to have to dig themselves out of a hole that they dug themselves in, and they're going to have to rely on yet another team to help them get into the postseason.
And that's why we say it's the same season every year, because for the past 5, maybe 6 years now, it has been that story. And last year was probably one of the worst we've seen because, yeah, the quarterback situation was terrible. We had the worst OC, and even after they fired the OC in Canada, they still lost those 3 games because they had Mitch Trubisky starting. Now, thankfully, all that has changed. All that has changed. A lot of the offense has changed. A lot of the necessary components of the offense has changed. They got a new OC who has proven in the past he can be a competent OC. We got Russell Wilson, who is leagues better than what we had last year. Okay? I don't know what stage of Russell Wilson we're going to get, but there's no way it'll be worse than what we had last year.
No.
No way it'll be worse than Kenny and Mitch.
As far as the offense goes, because I know what to expect from the defense. We've seen it time and time again for pretty much since, I want to say, 2020, really, since the start of this decade. That defense has been the one that's been able to keep us in games, the one that has been able to help us sustain some sort of
identity,
momentum.
And that's going to have to remain the same again, as long as they stay healthy, because the injury bug is already biting us in many ways. That's why Futano only played 1 game. Roman Wilson, who could eventually be the wide receiver 2, hasn't played a game yet. Jaylen Warren was hurt towards the tail end of preseason. He should be healthy week 1. You know, we got so many other players that are hurt. Isaac Seumalo now.
And that's as far as the offense goes. As of now, the defense is, for the most part, fully healthy.
Right.
I can just only hope that the offense can be able to maintain some momentum and be able to have the defense rest for a little bit so that injuries don't build up, because the defense getting on the field constantly, time and time again, just very quickly. I mean, these players are getting beat up constantly, time and time again. They're on the field more time than the offense has time of possession. And their bodies, they get beat up, they get hurt, and injuries happen. So the offense, I don't know what to expect from them with a new quarterback, with a unknown wide receiver 2, and even Arthur Smith. I know what Smith could bring to the table, with his style, with what he likes to do. It's just a matter of these players having to execute.
Right.
I don't know what to expect from the offense.
Yeah.
But on paper, absolutely, it is better.
Well, it's still a massive unknown until we actually get to see some live football, get into the games that actually matter coming week 1 and versus Atlanta, right? That'll actually give us a little bit of an idea of what we can expect from the offense, which we already know they're going to be run heavy. Arthur Smith's bread and butter is run heavy, runs a lot of 12, 13 personnel, anticipate a lot of tight end usage. So we can expect that. I want to see how he's going to incorporate certain talent to the passing game with the lack of receiver too. Could that mean more targets for Pat Freiermuth? Could that mean more targets for any of the tight ends in that group? How's he going to incorporate Roman Wilson immediately? How's he going to incorporate Van Jefferson or Calvin Austin into the passing game? How's he going to incorporate some of the running backs into getting their chunk of the receiving game? We know what Warren can do. Can Najee get a bit of that workload so that when he comes onto the field, he's a lot less predictable? It'll make the offense a little more exciting. It'll keep the defense on their toes. The one thing about the offense the past number of years is they have been so predictable, it was sickening. Defensive players for years now have been saying, yeah, we knew what they were doing. We knew what was coming because they watched the film and the playbook was full of a page and a half maybe of plays that were constantly overran, and it led to nothing. Now, again, that's all changed, but we still don't know exactly what to expect. We have an idea, but until we actually see some execution, it's still a bit of a concern, a little bit of an unknown. And in that regard, I feel like there's no really excuse when it comes to the situation.
Yes. This is now the guys that they wanted. They called up Arthur Smith. They brought him in. They hired him. Tomlin made that decision. That's his guy.
They traded for Russell. Yeah, they traded for Justin Fields. They signed Russell Wilson.
Those are the two quarterbacks they decided to go with. Those are Tomlin's guys at QB. Those are his quarterbacks. Tomlin has no excuse.
No, because
year by year, I'm pretty sure you're going to state the same thing. But
go for it.
I mean, every year it's always been an excuse. Ben's last year, he's not the guy he used to be, obviously. His arm shot.
Which everyone knew about.
Of course.
The year before in 2020, but
they still wrote it. They wrote it
out, yeah.
Then Kenny's rookie year, an unknown at quarterback. Rookie quarterback, Mitch's first year with the Steelers, not exactly the best play. A rookie season quarterback.
And
right?
then last year, they had Matt Canada, which again, anyone could have told you from the year prior that was going to be an issue. This year, he revamped both of those situations, which is a massive positive. There's no excuse in that regard now. So if the offense can't get anything going, especially in the passing game, there's no excuse. There's no reason.
And especially early on, because I'm looking at the first half of the schedule. Not taking anything away from the teams as of right now, but some of the defense we're going up against, outside of maybe I would say the Colts or the Jets, for the most part, are pretty threatening. But everybody else is not exactly the best defense out there, right? So it's going to be an interesting test to see what the Steelers offense can do, what Russ could do, what Arthur Smith and his play calling can do. That's going to be a nice test. But then the second half, that's what's going to be obviously the most challenging. AFC North teams coming about. You got the Eagles defense that are trying to grow. You have the Chiefs defense right there and then.
You have all of the AFC North matchups from Week 11 all the way down to Week 18. Now, the NFL clearly knew what they were doing because of the Hard Knocks situation. The Hard Knocks show that they're doing revolving around the AFC North around Christmas time. Yeah, they did that intentionally for that. It's all business. It's all politics. It's all television. It's all ratings. It's all numbers. It's all the bottom dollar at the end of the day. But they're dealt with that hand, so yeah, that's going to be a tough stretch. And yes, the Steelers typically do well against the division, but towards the second half of the season, that is a grueling, impossible task because clearly that's when the games really matter. That's when teams are trying to make a final push. And Lord knows what the standings are going to look like by then. And the division, like the AFC North is arguably the best division in football. It's the most hard-fought division. They live up to their mentality. They live up to their name, their reputation. And that's not going to change. That's going to remain the same towards the tail end of the season. The Steelers were dealt a rough half. So, yes, when it comes to the first half of the season, they got to come guns a-blazing. I'm not asking for the Killer B era. I'm not asking for Kansas City. I'm not asking for the Houston Texans with C.J. Stroud. I'm asking for something competent. I'm asking for better than last year. Because the truth is, we don't know what side of Russell Wilson we're going to get. And Arthur Smith, an upgrade OC for sure, has never schemed a top 15 passing game. And the lack of receiver, too, is going to even weaken the chances of that.
Yeah.
But I still think strength in numbers. We have guys that can fulfill that hole because we don't have it, too, right? There's no excuses there. So the Steelers can still come on, have a very strong start, which they haven't done in a couple years, and it will hopefully make up for what's going to be a tough second half of the season where, yeah, losses are going to be a lot more grueling, a lot more hurtful, because if they have a slow start again, like they've been doing the last number of years, and they lose some of these division games and potentially lose to the Eagles and the Chiefs on Christmas, like imagine what our first half record could be if they have a slow start. And then you look at our second half schedule. I'll be real with you, man. Looking at the second half schedule, I don't see many victories. Most of the victories I see will be against the division because the Steelers always play well against the AFC North, against the division, right? They were, 5-1 last year?
Yeah.
In the division? So, yeah, they do well against the division. But against conference-threatening teams like the Eagles and Chiefs, I'm not as confident. So those games are what's going to be very hurting towards that second half of the season. And, of course, yes, the AFC North, they're all these games are at the end of the season. So, yeah, like, these teams are going to be on their A game. So I hope the Steelers are at the same time. But they're going to have to be on their A game throughout the season because if they have a slow start and have a rough record heading into the Week 9 bye, and then they go into the second half of the season with a rough record and could potentially lose some of these games, yeah, we could be looking at a first losing season since 2003. So when we say there are no excuses and the Steelers got to come out hot and come out strong immediately, it's a necessity. It is a must this time of year. It's not like last year where they had a very rough start. They got blown out by the Niners and the Texans and teams like that. And we're like, oh, well, we got the Cardinals, we got the Patriots later on, and they still lost those games. There's no safe game. There's no safe game, man. They were dealt a tough schedule. So this team is improved from last year on paper. When you look at the team overall, they are better. There are still some concerns, but I think from coaching, from the quarterback situation, from a roster aspect, they are better in a lot of ways. So, going into the season, coming immediately into the regular season, yeah, they're going to have a strong start. Now, at the same time, I don't feel very confident in saying that because I've always said, man, the Steelers' downfall for the past number of years has been their coaching. Has been Tomlin, Canada, and yes, even Terrell Austin, but mostly Tomlin, because he has led us to the same season for years now where we have a slow start, and then we start to pick up some momentum, then we lose games we shouldn't, then we got to ask teams to get us into the playoffs.
While having to rebound by ourselves. I feel like that's been the theme for the past 3 years.
But this year, I don't think they have the team that should allow that. I don't think they have the team that can give you any reason like, hey, that's going to happen again. Like you look at the teams from years past when that occurred compared to now, like I said, they're better. So it doesn't give me any reason why I should think that. The only reason I think that is because Mike Tomlin. And unfortunately, that's just the way he runs sometimes. And my deep fear this season, it'll be the same situation, same story all over again.
SOS. Same old Steelers.
Yes.
That's how it's been for quite some time. They can't afford a slow start. They can't afford any miscues and whatnot. I get that there may be a bit of a slow start because of the new faces and the rebranded O-line. I get that.
Yeah, we're going to have to be patient in some of that.
But at the same time, I'm not trying to hear that because the Steelers on paper have changed. They look different. They look better on paper. Khan and company have completely revamped this team.
Well, I think
up and down.
I think our expectations in that are, well, they have an OC that Tomlin chose, and that is a proven OC just based on stats in years past. There's no in-house promotion. There's no hoping, hey, he has chemistry with some of these guys from being under the system for a while. It's none of that. It is a proven offensive coordinator from years past with a veteran, future Hall of Fame quarterback. Not on the same level he used to be, but still an upgrade and a veteran. So there should be that spark that hopefully is lit a little bit for the offense. There should be a little bit of an immediate push from the offense. Maybe that's too much expectation, but just based on the additions, that's what you want me to believe, right? So, yeah, I'm going to go in with those hopes.
That's why these additions were made.
Yes.
For change, for massive improvement, almost immediate improvement, because the Steelers need it. Because you look at the Steelers team and the team that they got and the team that Khan has assembled and the people that he's brought in, he said himself he's trying to win a Super Bowl. He wants to play with the best of the best. He wants to be up there with the best of the best. The way to play with the best of the best is to assemble a team, to assemble the right coaches, to assemble the right system, to execute on the plays. You have your guys. Everybody that you have brought in, you wanted. It's not like you were like, okay, fine, we got to settle for it. No, everybody you brought in is exactly who you wanted.
Yes.
You looked into, you interviewed them, and you signed them.
And these are the guys that you brought in to help make an actual playoff push, which the Steelers are on their longest playoff drought in team history since before Franco made the play of a lifetime. This is their longest playoff win drought since pre-1972, since pre-Immaculate Reception. So you brought in these guys to make that push to end the drought. So when I look at this season, there are some cases where I don't feel as optimistic as maybe I should, where I have fears that this is going to result in the same situation, the same season all over again, where, potentially a slow start, then they lose games they shouldn't. They might or just barely get into the playoffs and go one and done like they have how many years now? I don't want that. With the additions you made, not just from coaching, not just from OC, not just from quarterback, but you brought in a new strong safety. You brought in a new cornerback too. You revamped the linebacking group. I mean, you got defensive linemen that are a lot more experienced now, right? You triple dipped on the offensive line in the draft. So when I look at it this season, I expect a playoff victory. If you were to ask me, hey, what's the ceiling for the Steelers season in 2024? The goal is always a Super Bowl.
As it should be. That's always the goal of mine. That's the top goal, to get number 7.
But although that is the ultimate goal, and we've been reaching that for the last, 15 years now, 14 years now?
We can't really say that that's the goal when the Steelers can't even get past the wild card.
So
we can't say that, hey, we're Super Bowl bound, we're Super Bowl contenders.
No, we're not.
We can't even, we can barely make the playoffs.
No. So the Steelers are not going to win the Super Bowl this year. In some weird universe, there's a chance. But I'm telling you right now, the Steelers are not winning the Super Bowl this year. So what I want to see, because I'll tell you right now, none of these quarterbacks the Steelers have on the roster is the future. Wilson's not the future, and I don't think he is good enough anymore to lead a team to a Super Bowl. I don't think he's good enough to elevate a receiving room what he has right now. He's just not that guy anymore. But he is a bridge. He is a veteran to lead your team to produce, to improve, to show you promise, and to hopefully progress so much that maybe we can actually go get a rookie quarterback in 2025 in the 2025 draft class and make a push with that guy, the next future. So when I look at this season, the ceiling to me is a playoff win. I want to see a playoff win, and I want to see some potential. I want to get a sense that this team is just a quarterback away.
That's the season that we won last year. Show us that you can grow. Show us that you're progressing. Show us that you're getting back to the team that we once seen and once watched when we were growing up.
Right.
Get back to the old school Steelers. Now, that's probably never going to happen. But at least show something. Show some progression. Show that, hey, we can go make a push. We can make a run.
I don't want a repeat. So, yes, the players absolutely got to execute. But the coaching has to step up. I've always said, man, the biggest difference between the Steelers and many other teams is a lot, but the biggest difference has been the coaching. The coaching has failed us from a coordinator standpoint and from a head coach standpoint. No excuses no more, because they have their proven guys. They have guys that have gone and been coordinators for previous teams and have succeeded. They have a quarterback that is a veteran, that can be a bridge, that can advance this team a little bit. They have a lot of guys on the rookie contracts, a lot of young guys that can grow along the way and be part of something great.
Yeah.
So show us that potential. They're not going to win a Super Bowl.
No, that's their goal, of course. That's why they brought in how many names and got a new OC. That's why they made all these changes. Like, they won a Super Bowl. We just don't see it.
But perhaps they don't win a Super Bowl this year. Maybe not even next year in 2025. But if they show enough progression and they show a lot of promise and a lot of growth in what they've been investing via the draft and free agency with Omar Khan the last number of years, that maybe in the next 2-3 years, they could be hoisting the Lombardi. Because all they need is that quarterback. And everything around the quarterback, the entire support system, and every position they've been building through the draft and free agency has done their job. That's what I want to see this year. That is my hope. Do I feel confident in saying that? I don't know yet. Honestly, because we are a very young team. There's still a lot of unknowns. There are still a lot of concerns.
I don't know what to expect from the offense.
I don't, but that's kind of my that's my vision. That is my ultimate desire. That is what I hope the ceiling is for the Steelers this season. Now, at the same time, I got to lower myself back down to level because, you know, I've gone in with those type of expectations much like last year, very similar to last year, and I got defeated. So now I got to hold back and be like, you know what, let's just see what happens first.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens first. Hopefully my wildest dreams actually become reality.
I'm going to be real. My expectations for this season are actually pretty low. Or I'm going to keep my expectations low because as a young Steeler fan, when I was a teenager, I mean, I thought this time, oh, this is our year. This is our year. Oh, we'll get them this time. You know, we got closer year in and year out. Then since then, we haven't even won a playoff game. I've been convinced thinking, hey, this is our shot. This is finally when Ben hoists up number 7, when 7 gets us number 7, only for it to never happen.
Right.
I've learned as a young teenage Steeler fan and to a young adult Steeler fan to keep my expectations low. Because I want this team to showcase hope. I do. I want this team to show out. I want this team to go out and play some Pittsburgh Steelers football. But I don't want my expectations to be high. I don't want my emotions to get the best of me. It's just the way I am. It's just the way that I've disciplined myself, the way I've adapted with this team. I don't want to feel that way, but I feel like I have to. I don't want to be let down because I feel like I've been let down too many times already. And I'm only 25. I still got a lifetime left of me as a Steelers fan. Same with my brother over here.
Yeah.
And the majority of that is because of Mike Tomlin. Every year, it's nothing but the same thing. And last year was more evident than ever before. And now everything that he's done this offseason, that Khan has done this offseason for Tomlin to coach, to lead, down to the football field, down to the 3-0s when the game's over, Tomlin's got to show out and showcase. He's got to show out and show, hey, I'm a top coach.
I just don't see an excuse for him this year.
I see zero excuses. Because every year in every press conference, I feel like it's always something with Tomlin. Not enough padded practices. We lost a short gain package, and God knows what else he's going to spew. A Tomlinism. Like I'm tired of it. Honestly, I am. There's a reason why we put up a Fire Tomlin sign. Because it's just nothing but the same old. Now we know he's not going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
No, we never believed he was going anywhere, but those were just our feelings last year because, oh, here we go again.
But the last 3-4 years for Tomlin with this is the last stretch for him.
Because I find ourselves making the same video just 1 year apart, saying the same thing. It's like I go back to 2020 when we had that final season collapse. How even before that? After the 2017 season. 2018.
2018. We were 7-2-1. We finished 9-6-1. We went 8-5, but finished 8-8 when Ben was down. Whatever.
And then
2020 that collapse and everything, whatnot. Then we barely made the playoffs. 2021. Rookie quarterback, you know, we managed to have a second half comeback, whatever.
Made a decent push, didn't make the playoffs.
2023, like 3 quarterbacks went 10-7 only to get blown out in the playoffs, whatever.
It's just been the same.
It just leads to disappointment in the end. That's the problem.
It's been the same thing every year. And this year, I just don't see a reason why it could repeat.
But that's our fear. That's what we're trying to get to. That is our fear at the end of the season. We don't want that. And if that is the case, even with Tomlin's chosen, hand-picked guys, then that's just as far as it's going to be until Tomlin is the head coach.
Yeah, because we said it last year after the Texans blowout that Mike Tomlin will never, ever, ever win us another Super Bowl. Never. And those are still our honest feelings.
I don't care how many times he's got to bounce back from a bad deficit and manage to get over 500 and barely a playoff spot. That doesn't mean anything. But it does not. That's nothing, and Danny said it several times. It is nothing but a participation trophy.
Is non-losing season really our new Super Bowl?
And that's the norm for most Steelers fans.
Is that the new standard?
That is what I've seen on social media when I'm on it and whatnot. It's just that's what's everyone's been conditioned to. That's what everyone's been normalized to. You're normalized to mediocrity. You're normalized. You're used to just being in the middle instead of being up there with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Instead of being up there with even the Baltimore Ravens. I will give them that.
Yeah. And it'll still take probably like 2, maybe 3 years max to reach that level with this team because they don't have a quarterback. And that is the blunt, honest truth. They don't have a quarterback. But like I said, man, this season, I want to see a playoff push. I want to see a playoff victory. And I want to see that this team is showing so much potential that, hey, once we get that quarterback, once we go out and get that rookie and we have him under a rookie contract, maybe we can do what the Bengals did with Joe Burrow. Maybe we can do what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Maybe we can do what the 49ers did with Brock Purdy. Maybe we can do what the Chiefs did with Pat Mahomes, which was they built the team around the rookie quarterback and they led them to Super Bowl championships and, in some cases, Super Bowl appearances. These guys were under rookie contracts. The Steelers can do the same because Omar Khan has built the team.
And its future.
He's built the foundation. He has added 5 new pieces to the offensive line for the last 2 years of the draft. He has revamped the linebacking room. He has helped the secondary. He has added Keanu Benton to the defensive line group. He's added Nick Herbig to the edge area. Like, he's building everything around. There are concerns at slot corner. There are concerns at wide receiver, too. There are still concerns with the O-line because they are going to be growing pains. We've got to be patient. But once we get to those levels, then, yeah, go get the quarterback, make the push. That's what we want, man.
And that will be down the line.
That'll be down the line. But at least for this year, I want to end the season feeling that way. Any optimism I have, listen, I'm still optimistic about the season. It's just I have my fears, and sometimes those fears overweigh the optimism, which is kind of what's being stated in this video. So,
and if it comes off as hate or as negativity to the team, like listen, like if we feel like, or we come off as Debbie Downers, we apologize, but that's just our honest input leading into the season because that's been nothing but a dark cloud that's overshadowed the Steelers for over a decade
and
now.
I know we're not the only ones that are thinking it. Like, what we stated throughout all of this is this is our fear for this season, and I don't want that again. I don't. Otherwise,
it's like hitting rewind on a VHS player, and you're rewatching the tape over and over again.
I don't want to be watching the fucking Jets game or the Giants game come week 7, week 8, and getting a repeat of the Patriots and Cardinals from last year and thinking, here we go again.
I don't want it to be down to week 12 against Cleveland and thinking, oh, well, you know, I saw this last year. There's no change. There's no difference. It's just a different cast of characters, just a different cast of actors.
I don't want Omar.
But the director is just treating them horribly. He's leading them horribly.
I don't want Omar Khan's hard work to go to waste. So coaching has to step up. Tomlin, most importantly, Arthur Smith being brought in as OC, he now has free reign to do whatever he wants. He better improve this team. And yes, 100% the players have to execute. But I think a lot of us really love the future of this team, love the potential that all these players have. The past 2 draft classes, from a talent and value aspect, have been some of the best draft classes I've seen in my lifetime.
It's been these 2 recent draft classes have been better than Colbert's last 5.
So as long as coaching puts them in position to succeed and they execute to maybe levels that we are beyond our expectation, yeah, like that's what I want to see this year. I just fear a repeat. I just fear the same old season. The ceiling for this Steelers team is I'm gonna say 10, 11 wins max. And that's really tough seeing the schedule. Perhaps, hey, maybe the Steelers come on burst into the scene because of the changes they made, and maybe we can start getting some exciting Steelers football. Not stressful Steelers football. That's my optimism. But my fear overweighs the negative. And listen, I've had this fear the past 3 years now. Since 2020. Yeah, since 2020. I've had the same fear going into the season. I'm like, yeah, the team might be better. It looks better. Let's make it a little bit of a push. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what if it's just like last year? And what was it? Just like last year.
And what was it after that season?
Just like last year.
What was it after that season?
Just like last year.
And that is our fear leading into this year. It was going to be just like last year. We don't want that to be the case. That's the last thing we want to see. What we want to see is progression. What we want to see is the Steelers moving forward instead of just standing still or even going backwards. We want them to move forward. Take a step forward in the right direction.
Correct. 100%.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. All you got to do is go forward.
100%.
Show it.
That is our optimism this year. There are still some concerns on the roster, but maybe throughout the season they'll adjust. They'll adjust to such conditions. Maybe they make a couple trades. Maybe they add some new faces to the team. Time will tell. The ultimate reality of this is I don't know what to expect from this team, but my fears are going to be put on the back burner because now I'm going to get into the optimism. Russell Wilson is the best quarterback to lead this team right now. I mean, from a roster aspect, from what the Steelers were dealt with throughout the offseason and everything, yeah, he was the best. Like Russell Wilson is the best guy to lead this team right now because we need a veteran. We need someone that is very experienced, and we need someone with a chip on his shoulder. We need someone that's going to fit Arthur Smith's scheme. Arthur Smith is the same thing. Chip on his shoulder. New job, new scenery, new scheme, right? Like a lot of these players can be utilized to the fullest of their potential, to the fullest of their draft value, draft capital, right? Especially a guy like Muth, especially a guy like Najee, right? We know what they can do. Just get them involved. They're going to have to get involved a lot more now, especially. A guy like Pickens, we know what he can do. Now that he has a competent quarterback, somewhat, he could burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
The defense, if they stay healthy, we know what they can do. We know what Watt and Highsmith and Herbert can bring to the table.
I am very confident in that defense.
Patrick Queen is a dog. Peyton Wilson's a dog. Atlanta Roberts is a dog. Minka being put in his proper position. We know what he can do. He can get multi-interceptions. JPJ is a lockdown guy. Just got to clean up the penalties. Dante Jackson's better than any other number 2 we had last year. That's where my optimism is. I love this team. Would I change some things? Absolutely, but I love this team. I think this team has potential to make a legitimate push. I think this team has a lot of pedigree. I think this team has a lot of doubters to prove wrong, really.
Of course.
I think they have chip. I think a lot of these players have chips on their shoulders where they're going to go into some of these games incredibly competitive, hard fought. Dare I say Steelers football? Like some of these games are tough, but I think we got a lot of tough players. We got a lot of players with winning cultures, winning mentalities already embedded in them from their college days. Broderick Jones, George Pickens, Roman Wilson, Darnell Washington, Najee Harris. We got winning culture and we got winning mentality guys in here, man. So yeah. I'm optimistic heading into this season, but don't be surprised if it ends up the same season. So yeah, I think 10, 11 wins is the ceiling, and hopefully we can get a playoff victory. That's what I'm hoping this season.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Any other concerns you guys have? How do you guys feel about everything heading into the season? We got Week 1 versus the Atlanta Falcons. Our preview will be up shortly. We'll be live for that later this week. Keep in mind for that. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. And thanks to BetUS for sponsoring today's podcast episode 105 of the Steel Culture Podcast. Check out the link in the description. Sign up for BetUS for a new sportsbook this season. Take advantage of that 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Up to $2,000. Take advantage of that. Thanks to them, man. Thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace!